So I just watched a really interesting film called Mikey and Nicky.
Mikey and Nicky, written and directed by Elaine May.
I've been watching Elaine May's films this week, or I should say last week into this week. Last week I watched her debut feature, A New Leaf, and I was instantly kind of thrown into her sense of humor and thrown into her directing style. And I had started Mikey and Nicky about a year ago, and I decided, okay, I'll give it another try. And I'm really glad I did because it has a really, really gritty, authentic 70s style that I find fantastic. The film stars Peter Falk, and it also stars John Cassavetes. And I've always known Cassavetes from Rosemary's Baby and from his own films. And I also feel like Elaine May is kind of paying homage to Cassavetes' directing style in this. It has sort of that freestyle, New York, almost beatnik appeal to it that John Cassavetes so, solidified in film culture. And Peter Falk, who's always fantastic.
Now you called me. Now I came and look what you did. And for no reason. No fucking reason. Bullshit. Go find yourself another friend.
In the film, the basic, very, very loose story is that John Cassavetes is like, just looks like shit in this movie. He looks like he has been run over and then backed back over and then run over again. And he's, opens with him smoking and drinking and just like kind of crashed out in bed. And Peter Falk, we find out, is like his only friend in the world and is trying to kind of pull him out of this rut. And Cassavetes believes that these mobsters that he works for are trying to kill him. And in truth, they are trying to kill him. And I'm not really giving too much away here in saying that what he also doesn't know is that Peter Falk is trying to help them, help bring the hitman to John Cassavetes to have him offed. And so Falk is kind of towing this line of being a good friend, but also, trying to get him killed.
They're gonna kill me, Nick. They're gonna kill me.
They have this sort of back and forth that's incredible, and they have a chemistry. I know people say, oh, Cassavetes is so raw and he's so this and that. And it really is just true that there's something about that dynamic in that early 70s stuff that he did that you can't deny has this real feel to it. It almost feels like a documentary. So anyway, there's a lot of humor in the film, which I like a lot. But one thing in reading about it is I understand that, there was kind of this idea that was shaped around The Godfather that mafia films were kind of romanticizing the idea of what it is to be a gangster. And Elaine May and, some other filmmakers like Scorsese, they kind of depicted these people as they saw them growing up in the streets of New York, and understanding that they're not quite these composed gentlemen that The Godfather depicts. They, and this film really takes that to the extreme. I mean, this even goes beyond what Mean Streets, or even some of Cassavetes' films like Killing of a Chinese Bookie does with people who are on that lowbrow crime lifestyle. And so that's one of the best things about the film, is that it really brings an authenticity to petty criminals, and their image is so rough and just the way they act, the way they treat other people. Another thing that's interesting is that Elaine May being a female director, the female characters in the film, another kind of thing that's eminent of Cassavetes is in some of his films is that they're kind of these backseat characters who are treated very poorly by our leads, Mikey and Nicky. And, there's a scene where Cassavetes visits this woman who we kind of think, I guess, is a prostitute. He calls her a prostitute, but basically she's an easy gal. And he tries to tell Peter Falk to go be with her, and he kind of makes a move on her, and she bites him, and he slaps her. And it's a very not pretty scene to watch. It's, very degrading to this woman. It's very exposing of who these people are. And I think it's very powerful, and I think it's very bold of a filmmaker who's female to depict her female characters in this way, because we're seeing it from the perspective of these two guys who are these low-life degenerates. And so we're not really getting an outside view of what, the world sees these people. We're not getting an empathetic view. We're getting a view directly from the eyes of these two schlubs. There's a really great cameo from Emmett Walsh, who I love from Blood Simple. He's the bus driver in this scene. It's really great. I think the dynamic between Falk being, on the line of being this guy's friend and also being, the person who's going to take him to the grave potentially, it really keeps you going with these characters. And, he's always so funny, and he rides the line of kind of madness in this movie. There's a really good scene early on where he's going to get some cream for Cassavetes to soothe his stomach ulcer, which is just another, visual in your head of how, much of a mess this guy is. And he goes to this diner and asks for cream, and the guy says he won't just sell him cream, and he says, okay, then charge me for 15 coffees and just fill it with the cream that you would put in those coffees. And then he just snaps and starts beating this dude up.
You give me that in 30 seconds, you hear me, or I'll kill you!
I highly recommend this movie to anybody who likes that sort of early 70s grit, who likes, underground films, who wants to see more stuff from female directors from an early era, who wants to see Peter Falk in a great role, John Cassavetes, something that he didn't direct, but that still has that vibe of his. And yeah, I just can't recommend it enough.
Ma, if anything happens to me, Mikey did it.